Hello and welcome to The Governors, a series of conversations with past district governors of Rotary International District 6690. I have the pleasure today of being in the home of past district governor William Stout, who from here on I'll just refer to as Bill. Bill, thanks for having me here today.
Well, it's good. It's good to have past district governors here. At one time, after I was district governor, almost all the district governors spent the night here on their way through. They would come in and stay overnight here. So I had quite a few of them visit here. We had a lot of Rotary meetings in this house. It's been a sort of a headquarters with dances and committee meetings and everything. So it's good to have somebody that remembers what Rotary was like in the good old days.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a native of Washington Township, as we called it then, and Circleville, and went to school here and left, spent about 5 years at Ohio State, and then my uncle called me and I spent a couple of years in Texas in the military and come back and worked here ever since, come back with my dad in the construction business. And since that time, we did land development, we did construction. I built, 6 banks, about 200 to 300 homes, 4 or 5 subdivisions, a few things, redone some funeral homes and repaired, and did a lot of remodeling downtown and churches and so forth. So I had my own real estate, Bill Stout Realty. I was a broker for that, and we just tried to keep kind of busy around the neighborhood. And as I say, I have 3 sons, and I got one in Kentucky, one in Columbus, or one in Michigan, unfortunately, and one now is in Florida. And several grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren now. And just enjoying life. Been traveling a lot the last few years. Jean and I have, as I say, we've been all over the world and enjoyed it. And one of the good things I found out in my travels, I had 56 years of perfect attendance. So I've made up in places all over the world, in some of the strangest places, and met a lot of good people, and have Rotary friends all over the world too. So Rotary's been a real part of my many years around here.
Well, how were you introduced into Rotary?
Well, it's very simple. My dad was a Rotarian. And he had, if I remember right, he had 39 years of perfect attendance. And so there was no choice. Well, when I come back from the service, I immediately joined the JCs because all my buddies and everything were JCs. And then, so after about 3 or 4 years of that and being very active in JCs on the local and state level, then Doc Bowers put my name into Rotary. And so therefore, I became a Rotarian at that time and have been there. So I was in, what did I say, 56 years, 58 years ago. It's been a while back.
Okay.
And during all that time that I got to know Rotarians from all over the world. And we had friends. Yeah, and every time we'd want a trip, we'd end up with some Rotarians.
Well, let's talk about you're now in the club, your dad got you in. What was it about Rotary that kept you involved and interested?
Because I'd always been interested in it. I was got to thinking about some of these things that you had brought up, that my mother and dad were involved in everything, church, whatever, and over the years. And so it was just automatic that wherever you worked in service. If there was anything going on at the church, either mother or dad or both of them were involved. Dad was involved in the JCs for years, then Rotary for years, Chamber of Commerce and so forth. So once I got in Rotary, I just got involved in whatever they were doing. Very simple.
Was there a particular service project that Rotary was doing that interested you?
Just all of them.
Just all of them?
Just all of them, yeah. It didn't matter whatever was going on, what it was. And then I became, of course, I've been very involved in GSC over the years, but that was later on when we had in 1976, we had the Australian team here from Sydney. And Steve stayed here at the house, and I've been to Australia now several times, and we've had quite a few meetings over there of the old team that was in Circleville, and are in the district here and so forth. And then we met a friend from where was John, and we met them on Adelaide. We were over and visited. We met them on a trip to Greece, and I had 2 or 3 different RI president people were coming in here for district conferences that stayed at the house here, from California, one from Netherlands, from Amsterdam, and so forth. So there was just something going on that, and something here all the time to get involved in.
Okay. And then how long after you had joined Rotary did you become your club's president?
Oh, I forget what happened. Too many years. One thing about it was that I ran for president and got beat, and so I said, "That's it. I'm over and done." And we were meeting down to L&K restaurant down here, and they had a head table, and I always set up the head table just to harass the president. And I was sitting there, and a guy walked by one day, and he said, "Oh, by the way, Bill, I put your name in to be president again, run for president." I said, "Well, I just lost." He said, "No, we put it in." Well, I won that one, or I would not have been a president. And it was very simple. The real problem, it wasn't a problem, it was just different. I was the only Democrat besides my dad in Rotary at Circleville at the time, because I was also on the Board of Elections at the time, and I checked them to see, and every time I checked to find out that we had 100% vote. I had to make sure the Rotarians voted on when I was on the Board of Elections, and so therefore I knew that I was one of the few Ds in there, but we seemed to survive it all.
Do you remember anything that your club did during your year as president that you found interesting, a service project or a fundraiser?
No, we had a couple auctions to raise funds for various things. We had several projects that were just continuing over year after year. We've had one selling flowers and things like that, and no, but attendance was big at that time. We worked hard, and I worked hard to make sure we had perfect attendance by all members. And we had calling groups. If they didn't show up, we had guys on our attendance committee call them, and we used to take carloads to Chillicothe on Monday. We'd set up a system, pick up 4 or 5 guys, and drive to Chillicothe. That was one of the things we worked on. I don't know that we had a really good dance. I know a Christmas dance and so forth, but nothing out of the unusual, just always doing something.
How did you get involved at the district level of Rotary, moving from the club to the district? How did you become involved?
Well, a couple of members here, Bob Smith had been a past district governor. My dad was chairman of his district conference when he was district governor, and so I knew about going to district meetings. And then, because several guys did, we went to, I remember I took my motorhome one, we took a group over to play the tennis tournament in Granville. We were never allowed to come back after that, because during the tennis tournament, a couple of members stole the trophies, and some people that were there to play tennis and really interested in it decided we weren't invited back. But anyway, no, there was district things we did all the time. We used to go because I had great fun, and then when Steve Stevenson decided to get involved, I ended up being his chairman of his district conference. I went over, helped him get elected to it, and then was chairman of his district conference. So I've been involved one way or the other, GSE and whatever, all the time.
Well, tell us a little bit about your first GSE experiences at the district level.
Well, the first one was to sit with the Australia group.
Right.
That were here. Then after that, I always had somebody here, and I was chairman of the things here. We had it set up. I don't know what we've done in the last year or so, but we tried to do the farm tour and the Southern Ohio Hocking Hills tour were the two things we did, show them small town farms and everything. And so we tried to get 4 days, and we had some great times doing it. And the two things that all the team members from the district conference talked about, one was the trip to the Hocking Hills where they got to walk down. The second was we took them to a funeral home. up to Wellman's, and they went through and found out how we treated death and dying and so forth. And they all remembered, every one of them remembered that, right, Gene? They did, because, and that was one of the things, and we learned how they did it as well. But that was two of the things that we tried to show them about Pickaway County. And I remember the Japanese group, when I was district governor, we went out to Bill Richards. We always had the world's largest carry-in picnic and dinner for them. And we got him out there, and the whole team got in the cab of his John Deere tractor because they weren't that big, and that tractor was big, and they were really impressed. They all could get in the cab of the John Deere tractor.
Oh, wow.
But we took them to a dairy farm. We showed them to a pig farm. One dairy farm, one of our members, who's the county prosecutor now, Judy Wilford, after showing the small dairy, well, the big dairy farm, they milked 2,000. She was milking 25. And then we always had wine and cheese afterwards, which kind of made the tour a little better. But we did that here and always had great GSE for many years from everywhere.
What induced you to become a district governor?
Oh, I don't know. I think somebody said, "Why don't you become a district governor?" And I said, "Well, I had heard that a former district governor that was just ahead of me for a year said that there'd be no divorced men ever be a district governor, that they had to have a spouse with them at all the meetings." And so I think that probably caused me to run for it as much as anything.
To be a trendsetter, huh?
Yeah, I don't know why not, but that was the word I got. So I didn't have any illusions of the club wanted me to run for it. So because they knew what it was like with Steve and so forth, and so I'd been involved. So yeah, they put me on, and I guess everybody else dropped out or died or something when so I made it anyway.
All right, and then your year as district governor, were there any surprises that you ran into or anything that you want to share that was mostly memorable during your year?
Well, probably the most memorable thing is the guy that was ahead of me, his boss moved him and told him he could not be a district governor in Rotary anymore. So I became, about a month or two after I became the nominee, I became the vice president. So we had to move a whole up. So I didn't get the experience of going out for a year. But now my district governor, as I say, I stayed overnight. I had a lot of good times with people. We always had meetings the night before dinner. So I say Dick Thompson, we headed out on a boat in the Ohio River. We had another down in the at Marietta on the riverboat down there. Just a lot of good times. I was just coming off the end of the Polio Plus things, and with the women in there, I was still fighting the battle with one of the clubs over in Belmont County that had a problem because the two older guys always set this spot at the table, and two visiting Rotarian women from right up the river a little bit came and sat in their chairs. And so I'll never forget that we got ready to do the program. The one who went and tapped the gal on the shoulder and said, "We're going to start the business meeting now. You can leave." That was part of the entertainment that we had doing that bringing the women in, and Polio Plus worked great. We just got everybody working together and so forth. But no, it was a great experience. Our thing was to make green and plant trees. That was the biggest thing that we did, and I took a tree around with me and gave to every president a tree for them to plant in their town.
Okay.
And that was our big thing. I had a what was it? An apple. What was the flowering apple tree or whatever? Yeah, one of those that I had from the nursery out here in a box made there, and I used to get pictures from various ones after I left. I gave that to the local president, and they got to plant it in their yard or wherever, or in a park or whatever we wanted to. But our big thing was planting trees, making things green. Had the green coats.
Okay.
And all that. So the theme was just kind of an off thing, but the big thing was the greening of America or the world. And one of the great things back from that is that one of the things I was going to do locally is we had out 56 along our park system out there. It was about a quarter of a mile or so or better, that there was nothing. And so I got a couple hundred pine trees. Our Rotary Club got together. We got stakes from the county engineer, nice big stake, and we went out there and planted all those trees down through there. It was really going to be great. The next spring, I went down there about, I guess someplace in June. The city guy that was mowing there mowed every one of them down. With the tractor. He didn't know those stakes meant anything. He just mowed trees and plants. So our tree planting we didn't do as well with that as we had hoped.
Who in Rotary inspires you the most?
Oh, I can't say that there was any one. There were so many of the people in Dad's age because I went to Rotary with him a few times. My first Rotary meeting that I really remember was when I was a senior in high school. They had a senior Rotarian, so I got to make 2 meetings. And the one meeting was, Dad was in the appliance business. He brought a big TV at that time, it was about that big, for the meeting, and we watched General MacArthur give his speech in front of Congress. Was the program that day. So I'll never forget, old soldiers never die, they just fade away. And that was a Rotary meeting where everybody wore a coat and tie and so forth. By the way, I did kind of break that because I was in construction, come back from the Army, I wore Bermudas and my Army clothes working on the houses, and I said, I'm going to come the way you guys wear your coats, you're wearing what you're working on, I'm wearing what I work, no problem.
You've been in Rotary many years, and it's changed a lot in the decades that you've been involved with Rotary. Where do you see Rotary in the future? Where is it going?
I have no idea. Just like as I'd say, I talked to my secretary, our secretary today, found out that several of the men and women did not pay their dues or due because we weren't having meetings. And there's, what'd you say, Gene? We're getting in our meetings now on.
Well, I think around 25 in the Zoom.
In the Zoom meeting of about 25, and he said we have 75 members.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know, are we going to get all those people back to where they can get together and meet? Can we get in restaurants, so forth and so on? So I am concerned that I know in talking to some of them, I've had some of them come by here. One of the guys was working vice president, want some ideas, and we were trying to figure out what can we do as a group to keep everybody together. Well, we haven't found a good project yet that we can get everybody together because, well, we had pumpkin show. And so we were all doing something one place, and of course it got canceled, and but keeping people interested, and again, the young people, I say, but business people and everything are so busy trying to keep their businesses alive, they don't have time to participate in activities that Rotary does, going to lunches and so forth. And, you know, I can remember back, my mother was big in the Ladies' Aid Society at the church. And our church, Methodist Church, had, I think, 15 or 20 ladies groups. I think there's one now. And the women today are either working or we have been Rotary. I mean, I don't know how many we got, but I always said one was too many, but I brought her in, so then I had to change my whole attitude on that. So, but no, I just don't know how we're going to get together till we can have a meeting place where we can do and get the fellowship as well as getting the projects put together. I think it'll be around, but it's not going to be as strong and active as it used to be.
Okay.
Because we're still a billfold club in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
That we didn't do as many projects as our morning club. They're always doing something. So, and they will always be around, I think. But I'm concerned about it. But it's going to be here. It's just not going to be as big and great as it used to.
And that's just taking in consideration, though, that right now we're in a pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah. Because this video may be viewed 100 years from now, and people will, why? What's going on?
Yeah.
This whole conversation is taking place during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, where we couldn't meet in a restaurant and so forth, and but I had so many people that came through here, district governors and so forth, coming through here, and the people I knew from when Dad was involved. That you know, they were just, I think about all the things, and my mother and dad probably were as strong in bringing me up, and she claims mother was the best part of me, and
Whenever there was any Rotary meeting anywhere near here, you know, oh, let's go to Bill's, you know, and Bill said, come on over.
oh yeah,
And,
we had when
the youth exchange
George-
was here.
when George Rinkert was coming in, for some reason he asked me to be his whatever, and so I got the. That was when I had the couple from the DeBuffs from
Netherlands.
the Netherlands, and so he sent them down here. So they spent 3 or 4 days because they had some time, and we ended up having his meeting, our Upper Arlington meeting down here in my living room or whatever. Had a party for the DeBuffs. Then we visited the DeBuffs in the Netherlands and so forth. And so I'd say I've got the opportunity to meet Rotarians all over the world, and most of them are pretty decent people. Even some in our district are pretty decent. You know,
Some, yeah.
Some. Everybody needs to get involved in their community one way or the other. I don't care whether it's a Kiwanian, Chamber of Commerce, or whatever. I've been in all of them, and you need to get involved and be part of your community, and Rotary gives you that opportunity. And so being a part of a group that are looking for the service to others, or some things like that they keep talking about, I would say that. And anybody that has the opportunity eventually to travel, you got to get back, because traveling the world gives you a whole different idea of what you could do here or should be doing here. And those are the things that I just have right now. And I'm enjoying Jean over here, bless her heart, that she is, although she counts me as I am now her service animal. And so that way I can get on airplane with her if we ever go anywhere. So other than that, no, I'm doing fine.
You know, they say if you go to any Rotary Club anywhere in the world, if you go to a Rotary Club, then you've been to that Rotary Club and not another.
Yes.
Yeah, you've been to a Rotary Club. What is it about your Rotary Club that you're particularly proud about that makes it set apart from all the others?
I would say the fellowship we had at meetings, the sergeant at arms, the singing, the carrying on about that, birthdays, things like that, harassing the speakers, or harassing Rotarians, and they're just having fun and getting to know these people. Coming in, we had some plants there. We always had the plant manager of DuPont, the plant manager of GE, so they'd be out of towners come in, and they'd immediately get them in Rotary. So you learned something from them and got them involved in the community. But we were pretty good in welcoming people. We always said, even though Jack Hooks owned the restaurant and everything, we didn't go to Rotary for the food, and we went there for the fellowship. So that's about all I can say. Just a good group of people.
Great. Well, thank you for your time today.
I'm glad to do it. And by the way, the luncheon will be about $20 because we had to have it carried in.
I'll contact our district treasurer.
Would you?
We'll have it expensed right out.
Yes.
Well, that concludes this episode of The Governors. We hope you stay tuned for our next episode.